Hey, welcome back if you're not new, and welcome if you are. Today, I have a bit of a conversation starter. I don't really have a specific definition. I think this is more of a preference, but I thought it would be useful to look at, do you think that you should be able to do it all by yourself, or do you think you should have help when it comes to managing your muscle-based body stuff, right? Because that's my area of expertise. So things like neck pain, shoulder pain, lower back pain, tight muscles from training, tight muscles from stress, all the stuff that kind of comes under the umbrella of what we can support with. Because some people, oh, I should probably introduce myself. I'm Catherine. Welcome to my channel, LSM Clinic. I'm the founder and principal therapist of LSM Clinic, which is a clinical massage therapy clinic in East London. And in this channel, I like to talk about how you can take care of your body, like different things about how the body is connected to itself to hopefully help you understand what's going on more and live pain-free or as close to it as possible. So one of the things that we talk to clients about when they come in is like, what are your long-term goals? Usually when somebody comes in with neck and shoulder pain, or with any kind of pain, something that they've had for a while, they'll need a few sessions close together, and then they can either go to a monthly session or they can just come as and when. Now, regardless of what you want to do, we still look at self-care exercises and what you can do at home, because I think it's really important for people to always have the choice. Like, you don't have to have massage to be functional, right? You don't have to see your healthcare practitioner to be able to live. I think that's super important. I always say having a session with us as part of your self-care overall maintenance plan should be a choice, shouldn't be dependent. But should you, as a practice, be able to 100% do it on your own? And the reason that I want to open up this for conversation, I'd really like to know what people think in the comments, is because I don't know if there's a right answer to this. Now, a little bit of background about me is that I used to really pride myself on being able to do everything myself, right? My mom joked with me. I don't know if there's like a Sesame Street book. I think it's an Elmo or a Grover book, and it's like, I can do it myself. And she would joke that that was my favorite book because I would always want to do it myself. I would want to prove that I didn't need anybody's help. And, if you look at things like trauma and safety, hyperindependence can be, not always is, but can be a trauma response where you learn that you can't rely on the people around you. So you just learn to rely on everything for yourself, which can be exhausting, right? But then on the other hand, I don't think it's right for practitioners or professionals to breed dependency, to create a system where you feel like you can't function unless you have that person in your life. I think there should always be the option that they can go off and manage it themselves if they choose, unless it's like really impossible. Because, like, for example, there are going to be certain medical conditions where you have to go and get treatments that you can't do on your own. So I'm not saying like that there's no exceptions. But generally speaking, where it's not something that's like highly, highly specialized or like complicated medical procedure, I think you should be able to have the option to do it on your own. And, when we're living in the society that we're living in, it is actually really important to have community. And what I think is really interesting is that a lot of people will frame this as kind of like a moral issue. Like, you morally should be able to do it by yourself. You should be self-sufficient and independent. And it's like, I think it's interesting because everybody who has that argument, they pick and choose, right? Because these people, um, with I'm sure a couple exceptions, they don't grow their own wheat and then grind it and then make their own bread. They might make their own bread, but they'll still buy the flour. Um, they probably don't raise all of their own food. They probably don't make their own clothes. And even if they do make their own clothes, they probably buy the fabric. They don't like make the fabric themselves. So there's very little in our life where we're 100% self-sufficient. Like, yes, you might be able to cook versus ordering takeaway from a restaurant or going out to eat, but you're still not doing it all yourself because you have to buy the ingredients from somewhere because you're not growing that food. Someone else has to process it for you and send it to where you're buying it from. And there's so many examples like this. So I think it's really interesting when people are like, I absolutely have to be able to take care of my body by myself without help. Like, I don't ever want to have massage or physio or chiro, osteo, or whatever it is, because it's like a point of pride. They don't have that perspective on other things. Now, obviously, the flip side of that is people who feel like they can't function without their health team. And again, this is a super nuanced area because there are some people with certain medical conditions and certain different levels of abilities who are inherently always going to need support. And that's just the way it is. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But within the group where it should be possible for them to more or less be able to manage on their own, then you have situations where a person is told they have to have a session every week for a year, or they have to have a session every week just to feel good, just to feel functional. And again, except for those exceptions that I mentioned, that feels unethical to me, right? So there is this middle ground. And one of the conversations that we have with people is, what is your preference? Because your preference might be that you don't want to have to come and get massages, right? And sometimes that's a financial thing, and sometimes that's a time thing, and sometimes it's like just a preference. Like, some people just don't want to have to go and be touched by someone else if they can avoid it, and they're just doing it because they've gotten to the end of their rope. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And so that's why we're like, okay, you'll be an as and when person. We'll get you to a place where you're pain free and you have your self care exercises and you can go off and manage it on your own. And then other times we'll have people who, like, they don't want to do any of their self care, right? And we would really ideally like to get people to where, except in extenuating circumstances, like where it's an exception, we want people to be able to go at least a month without needing a session from us. Once we get them to where they want to go, like, yeah, they might need a few sessions close together, but once we've kind of emptied the bucket, so to speak, we want them to be able to maintain themselves for at least a month. Again, unless there's extenuating circumstances. We all go through high stress periods in our time where we need extra support. We might have a loss. We might have like a super stressful time period at our job. We might have like an injury that we're recovering from. So all the time, but just like as a general rule of thumb. So yeah, so I just wanted to talk about that today, really, and see what you think, because I think that, if you're someone who really values their independence and really wants to be able to do it themselves, I think it's a good idea to just check in with yourself and ask yourself, why is that? Like, what is it about getting support that feels like it's not the right thing? And then on the flip side, if you're in a situation when you're like, I actually couldn't do it by myself, even if I wanted to, because I don't have the information or the education that I need in order to be able to take this into the rest of my life, then that might be something to look into. And again, I really want to emphasize here that this doesn't apply to everyone, because there are specific situations where people have different abilities, they have different medical conditions, people are living with chronic illness. And I never want to make anyone feel bad about the natural limitations that they have. And I also understand that it can be hard sometimes to know whether it's a natural limitation or if it's a personal failing, which is like a whole other conversation. But where it's like, for example, if you're suffering from depression, or if you're having specific problems with your health and you're like, should I be able to snap myself out of this? Am I being dramatic by asking for support? Like, that can also be a really tricky place. So that's why I really want to emphasize, like, I'm not saying that everybody should be able to do it on their own. And I'm not saying that everybody who decides that they want to try to get as much support, like, they just can't not have support. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. But I just think it's an interesting idea. And, I just remember there was one client a really long time ago, and we were getting to the end of his sessions. Um, and he was like asking me, so Is it good to have a massage like on a regular basis, even if you don't have any problems? Like pains, because he was basically pain free at this point in his course of sessions. And I remember just going like, I don't actually know what this person is asking me. I don't know if they're asking me like, I like this and I want to continue to have this experience, but I feel like I'm not allowed to because I'm not in pain anymore. And so now I should be able to take care of it myself. Or if he was asking, will I be okay if I stop having massages? Do I need to keep having them or will this come back? Right? Because those are two different questions. Some people want permission to be able to have, a once a month massage or whatever it is that makes you feel good and helps you take care of yourself. I don't think there's anything wrong with that as long as you have the time and the money and the space and you're not hurting anybody. Why not? But then on the other end, um, should anybody like if you just want it because you don't want to have to do it for whatever reason, or maybe you do have time or money restrictions that mean that you can't have things as much as you want, you should absolutely be equipped to be able to do it on your own for the most part with a little bit of help, right? I think everybody needs help. So I know I have waffled a little bit in this video and just kind of wondered, but it was something on my mind. And because it's such a gray area, there's not like a really easy answer and it's so individual. I just really want to know what you think. Like, do you have a strong opinion? Do you think that you should absolutely be able to do it all on your own? Barring like those exceptions that I mentioned? Or do you feel like actually it's good to have that support and to have that, I want to say community. I mean, obviously, I know it's a bit tricky because you're paying people for services, but we build real relationships with our clients. We have amazing clients and they're amazing people, and we love holding space for them. So I do see it as a community, even though there is an exchange going on. Um, and if it makes your quality of life better and gives you that space to yourself, why not? Right? So let me know what you think if you feel like leaving a comment. If you enjoyed this kind of waffly, talkative, meandering video, let me know. Please leave a like if you did. Share it with somebody else if you think they'd be interested in this conversation. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you would like to be notified when we have more videos. And if you'd like to be on the email list, which I would love it if you would subscribe, please go down to the description, click on the link, and it will take you to a sign up page where you'll be signed up to get emails from me. All right. Have a great day or week. And I will talk to you later. Bye.